The CDC has cleared the way for all 12 to 15-year-olds to get Pfizer's COVID vaccine. So that means young adolescents will be able to get the shot nationwide starting today. Now, in a recent poll, 30% of parents said they would get kids in this age group vaccinated right away, but 23% said they would definitely not get them inoculated. President Biden's chief medical advisor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, joins us. Dr. Fauci, we always love it when you're here. A lot of questions, a lot of concerns, as always, when you come. Normally, when you're here, people got lots of questions, Dr. Fauci, so here we go. You know, parents, I've heard parents say, look, I'm willing to take a risk. I'm not willing to take a risk for my children. So what do you say to them for parents who are worried about the long-term effects? Everybody just says there's still so much unknown about this vaccination. What do you say?
Well, that's not entirely true, Gayle, really. The fact is that the information that we have now, with literally almost 200 million people having been vaccinated here in the United States and worldwide. I mean, we've administered 264 million doses in the United States. The safety profile is really quite firm and sound. So, I mean, first of all, you don't want to, in any manner or form, have the parents feel like they're doing something wrong by questioning it. I mean, it's the perfectly normal thing to be concerned about your children and to question. And that's the reason why you want to get them as much information as you possibly can and be very open and transparent about the information. It is very important for children to get vaccinated. One, because even though it's quite true that if children get infected, the seriousness of the infection in children is clearly less than the potential in certain adults, particularly the elderly and those with underlying conditions. But we are starting to see younger people get into serious trouble, again, at a very low rate, but serious trouble. But the other aspect of it that they need to understand is that when children get infected, even though they may not, in fact, get serious illness, they could inadvertently and innocently pass the infection on to someone else, perhaps another member of the family who is vulnerable and could get into trouble.
Are there long-term effects for kids?
You know, when you say long-term effects, if you look at the history of vaccinology and you look at the time when you see long-term effects, you usually don't go beyond 45 days after the vaccination. We do not let the vaccines out on an emergency use authorization until at least 60 days following the time when half of the people have received the last dose in the clinical trial. And we are well beyond that right now. So we're well into almost a year of people having received the vaccine. And there is no long-term effects that anyone can notice.
Dr. Fauci, given the importance that you say getting kids vaccinated, how important that is, do you think schools should require kids to get vaccinated before they come back to school?
You know, that is something that's debatable. I mean, whenever you're talking about requiring something, that's always a charged issue. So I'm not so sure we should be requiring children at all. We should be encouraging them. But you've got to be careful when you make a requirement of something. That usually gets you into a lot of pushback, understandable pushback.
Well, let me ask you about incentives, because Ohio's Governor Mike DeWine, who's going to be on this broadcast later this morning, has offered $1 million incentives in a lottery form for people who get vaccinations if they get the shot. 5 people could be winners. What do you think of financial incentives for vaccinations?
You know, when you talk about incentives, there are incentives for a variety of interventions. So this would not be unique. I mean, there are different types of incentives. It's very interesting, a rather creative one of the governor there. But we have incentives to get people into clinical trials, and we have incentives for people to get involved in accepting interventions. So it's not a unique concept.
Dr. Fauci, please help us with the mask situation. I know we're told we can wear it outside. We don't have to wear it outside, but I'm telling you, I was in New York, where I live, walking down the street. I just stopped a random lady, and I said, have you been vaccinated? She said, yes. I said, me too. Why are we wearing our masks? She goes, I don't know. I mean, because I think we all feel, and I said, me too, ma'am, me too. I think we all either feel guilty or we feel it's not time or we see everybody else doing it. It's monkey see, monkey do. Do you really think it's okay? Because I still feel judged. I feel people are giving you the side eye. It's not comfortable, Dr. Fauci.
I know, Gail, we've got to make that transition. If you are vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask outside. It'd be a very unusual situation if you were going into a completely crowded situation where people are essentially falling all over each other. Then you wear a mask. But any other time, if you're vaccinated and you are outside, put aside your mask. You don't have to wear it.
Okay, people are still judging. And can I just ask about you and Rand Paul? Does your body tense up every time? And by body, you know what I mean.
Yeah. You know, Gail, I just don't want to get into that tit for tat with him. I just don't understand what the problem is with him. But, you know, well, I'm just going to do my job and he could do what he wants to do and we'll see what happens.
Yes, well, you are still Dr. Anthony Fauci, and we thank you for your time today. Thanks. We'll see you again.
Thank you very much, Gail. Good to be with you.
Bye.